demands of Bitcoin, reclaims $30,000. Bulls rejoice and bears climb back into their cave. What does this mean for the Bitcoin price? How much further can this move go? What is causing this pump? Loads to get through here on a Friday. If you appreciate these updates, smash up the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. If you want to trade any of the inevitable moves which are going on, you need to check out the links in the description to BYBIT and BitGet, the two preferred exchanges I use. Now, if you couple those with our Telegram community, ijaz.uk/TG, where I just posted a trade update where we made 17%, over 17% in fact, on spot returns trading render in our VIP group. Make sure you check that out. Link is in the description. Get yourself involved and make profits using these moves. Now you can see here, Bitcoin here, wicking here nicely on the hourly candlesticks above 30,000. The bears will, of course, try to provide as much resistance as possible from these levels here. This yellow line will, of course, be psychological resistance. It's a key level, and it's not going to be easy to break it. But again, just a couple of days since the manipulation, which took us just as high, you can see Bitcoin has gone, hang on a second, we're getting closer to this ETF, or we're getting closer to mass adoption. There's no way we should be sitting here below 30,000. And you can see that this is a Bitcoin-specific move. If I jump on over to the pre-market in the US markets are not moving really. They're quite tentative. Remember, we had Jerome Powell speak yesterday. Go watch my video from earlier where I break down whatever Jerome Powell said, plus streamed it live as well. So go check that out. But you can see the broader markets are quite tentative. This is a Bitcoin-led move. Fit Ingredients notched up a little bit to 53. This market is ready to start moving a little bit up. And now you can see that move up towards the important 30,000 level. Now, please understand that 30,000 is not an easy level. This is an important psychological level. We have broken above it plenty of times before, right? Starting from April, we first wicked above it, we got thrown back down, touched it again, sent back down, touched it again in May, sent back down, finally broke through it again in June, spent some time above it. That's where we formed our high, right? Just shy of 32, and then eventually we got rejected down again. So we need to be very, very pragmatic here. It's not like just because we've gone through 30, we're going to run all the way up to 40. But you need to understand the structure of the charts and what the charts are telling us. And remember, the main story of what I said here is we need to be able to post a higher high. When you look at this trend, this is a nice upward trend, right? You can see this nice clear upward trend, but an upward trend means higher lows and higher highs. And as you can see on the banner here, if you go to ijaz.uk/TA, you'll learn all this stuff. You'll learn head and shoulders patterns, cup and handle patterns, and all the rest of it as well. So you can see here, we need to get past 32,000. We got rejected from these regions before. This move, like I've been shouting about for weeks, has to culminate in a higher high. If it doesn't, there are risks we just rotate to the downside. I need to share those with you as well, because the reality is, even though this move is nice, if this move just means we get rejected from the bottom side of the channel and thrown back down again, then it's weak, right? Then we have a left shoulder, that's a head, that's a right shoulder, and we have a head and shoulders pattern. I've been warning about that for a very long time. So this move is very good. It's a very nice move here, of course, away from this neckline. That's fantastic. We need to now couple that with 32. Whilst the impetus is with us, I want to see this price action get above 32, and that's going to be really, really beautiful here for Bitcoin. Of course, in the shorter time frames, do not be surprised to see a bunch of resistance come in from the 30,000 level, right? 30,000, the bears aren't going to give it up easily. Expect a little bit of sale pressure, maybe drop down a little bit again before trying to mount another attack and creating a bunch of higher lows into that 30k level to really break through it instead of just wicking through it. If we jump onto the daily chart, look how powerful this looks, guys. We had a big daily candlestick here a couple of days ago, right? You saw that on Monday. That was the day we had the manipulation of the spot ETF, but markets were still happy. And I said at the time when I streamed it, guys, this could have just been not manipulation, but an early leak from an insider that actually we're pretty much there on the spot ETF, but they weren't supposed to say something, right? And we're starting to see that now by the exuberance in the market. I mean, you had a couple of days here in the red consolidating, and then boom, yesterday 1.4%, today 4%. And if we jump on over to the weekly candles, you can see that means we are now set for a 10 to 11% week this week on Bitcoin, and delivering a very, very powerful bullish engulfing candle. Again, something we go through in the TA course. A bullish engulfing candle is a very strong sign of a reversal. We bounced off of our weekly EMA ribbon. This is looking good. Still need to go past 32, right? Remember, we had this candlestick as well. We had a really big candlestick here of 15% on that week, and then yet we still meandered to the downside again because we got rejected by 32. So we're not out of the woods. We just got to post past 32. And if we can post past 32, if we can go here, touch above 32, and then we can even come back down, create a higher low, go create another higher high, then things are looking good. We're still in an uptrend, and things are exciting exciting here to the upside. So things are looking great there in terms of the weekly EMA ribbon. We're bouncing nicely. On the daily EMA ribbon, we're very extended, so just be cautious, right? Like, how long can this sustain itself for? The bears will want to come in and try to get us to retest, try to get us to pull back a little bit down towards maybe 28.5, 28.3. And again, we're not bothered. As bulls, we're not bothered because this price action can even come down to the EMA ribbon at 27.8, and I'm not too fussed, right? And you've got plenty of support now from these wicking candles here at around the 28,000 level mark as well. So plenty of support for Bitcoin to bounce back from if the bears produce enough of a fight from 30k, okay? So I'm not too worried about that to the downside. If we zoom down to the 4-hourly, this is really where the action's happening, right? This 4-hourly EMA ribbon, we moved to the upside, we consolidated a little bit, rode the EMA ribbon nicely to the upside, very extended, right? So again, there's plenty of space for us to pull back into that 28.6 level here. It can come down into here, no problem, bounce from there, and then go post a higher high as we mount an attack towards breaking 30 with a candle body close, and also then working our way up towards 31. Also worth keeping in mind that this is a Bitcoin dominant led move, right? Bitcoin dominance is surging. This is us going up towards 53 now. In yesterday's video, I did do an update on Bitcoin dominance as well, so make sure you get caught up on that to understand what's going on, because on the weekly chart, there is plenty of room for Bitcoin dominance to go for another leg to the upside. I already earmarked 53% being a very important level, and then the next level really working its way up towards 59. So if you're in altcoins now, yes, there's a little bit of green today here in the market, but really this is primarily a Bitcoin led move. The other thing worth noting out is you are seeing other proof of work plays doing quite well, because remember, if the hope is that we're going to get a Bitcoin spot ETF approved soon, many other forks of Bitcoin like Bitcoin Single Vision, Bitcoin Cash, they're also moving in solidarity too, because they're like, hang on, if we got the same structure as Bitcoin, if we're the same fork of Bitcoin, maybe we can get an ETF in the future as well, because if the SEC is going to approve that one, they've got no grounds to reject our one as well. So you're seeing some like sympathy moves happening here on some of the Bitcoin fork plays, but generally a nice bounce here on altcoins, even though Bitcoin is moving at a greater percentage than those altcoins. Now, we've got to understand what is causing this euphoria, right? And primarily the euphoria is this. We spoke about this a couple of days ago. We have numerous deadlines coming up for the Bitcoin spot ETF. And a lot of people don't seem to understand what this means. The final deadlines start to come in on January. The first one's on 10th of January, which is like 82 days or something away, right? So that is the ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. By then, the SEC has no choice but to either approve that spot ETF or reject it with a reason for why they're rejecting it, okay? So this is the final deadline. Now, they can ignore the other deadlines. They've done that plenty of times. They've kicked the can down the road. They've ignored. So we've had all of these second deadlines. They just knock them down the road. They just delay it. But we know they've had pressure this week. We know that they've had pressure from the House as well. Earlier this week, 4 House of Financial Services Committee members urged the SEC to listen to the courts and give up efforts to block Bitcoin's ETF from regulatory approval. We also know that a bunch of the people who were filing spot ETFs, such as Fidelity this week, were making amendments to their filing, which makes us believe that there is some communication, there is some conversation going on between the appliers and the SEC to try and finesse the document, finesse the file to finally get approved. That is a good sign, and I think that's another reason why we're seeing markets move here to the upside. So coming back here, you know, it's a matter of time before these second deadlines pass. A bunch of the third deadlines are here early in January, in the first couple of weeks of January, and then you start hitting your final deadlines, the first one being the 10th of January. The reason that one's more important than the other dates is if one gets approved, the traffic light goes green and everybody's is pretty much going to get approved. They might need to adapt their filing, they might need to change the mechanism of their transparency in the document, but once you've got a blueprint for how to get your spot ETF approved, everybody's going to refile and get theirs approved too. So this date here, 10th of January, mark it in your calendars, could be explosive day for Bitcoin. In terms of price action, a lot of that price action is going to get priced in now. Markets do not wait for that date there to say, oh, look, it's been approved now, we're going to pump. No, the job of investors is to price in and take risks, right, before the data is certain. Once it's certain that a Bitcoin spot ETF is approved, fine, everybody's going to jump in, right? That's not exciting. That's not the point about what this is all about. It's about trying to determine what is the risk and what's the probability it's going to be approved versus not. And that is why you're seeing this price movement start to go to the upside towards 30k now, is more market participants are saying there's less and less obstacles to this spot ETF, and we're pricing in the chance that it's going to happen. In other news, we also had the US SEC dismiss the lawsuit against Ripple XRP executives, so Brad Garlinghouse, etc. They dropped the case, another major blow for the SEC, who are now really reeling on the ropes here, despite trying to do a major clampdown at the start of this year. So finally, we're starting to check the SEC. Finally, we're starting to see some buoyancy in the markets. Let me know, how do you feel about this markets? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to go watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.